chapter 2 on scene analysis. There's the chapter on on moments and how to work moment to moment and what is a moment. And we come down here and explain moments. But it's interestingly enough that the chapter on being in the moment is actually in scene analysis. It's all about removing yourself so that you can really be affected by the other person. And, there's been decades now of teachers teaching that. But that's not the problem, not the problem, but sometimes when people are teaching that, they kind of teach it in a vacuum as though that has nothing to do with the acting itself or the scene itself. And of course, the whole point of that is so that you can then apply it to the scene. And when you're working moment to moment off somebody in a scene, what you're doing is you're working off of they're doing something to you, and then you realize that, so then you counteract, and then they realize what you're doing, so they counteract to that, and you're going back and forward, and you're dealing with each other's realizations. You're creating those moments. And so the actor is taking their ability to remove themselves from themselves so they can become character and be grounded and authentic and clear. And then they're placing themselves in the pool of the scene, and they're working through moment to moment what the characters are doing, and that's why they're so connected. So living in moment to moment is not simply an esoteric Eckhart Tollean kind of, TED talky aspiration. It's how the world works. And so to get yourself in the moment and work moment to moment and be in the moment, it's not an instinctive, holistic, hopeful, wishful thinking, I'm in a great mood today. It's specifically knowing exactly what's going on in the script. Feeling is that the two conversations in this scene are loyalty or honor versus it's like a self-preservation or having a future, This is a breakup scene. It's actually a breakup scene. It's a love scene, and it's a breakup, because Jem's whole thing is, you don't leave me, you owe me, I can't live without you, I'll die without you, you are, and Christina just said it, you are my tie, you are my rock, don't go. And Doug's is, look, I gotta go, like, I've got a new life to go to, I'm going somewhere, I gotta do this for myself, I gotta live my life, So in Jem's relationship to Doug is that Doug is his compadre, his real brother, his only family. I think his kind of like, even though he's the one that went to jail and sacrificed himself for Doug, it's kind of like a younger brother looking up to an older brother. He has a certain responsibility. And to go back to what Terry was saying a second ago, and what I was saying is, even in this scene, he goes, what's wrong with you? You think you're better than everybody else. You think you're not like it. You're one of us, And Doug's like, I don't know, I never really was. Probably a job. Like Doug walks in, he knows. So why did Doug come at all? Why doesn't Doug just go? Like, why doesn't he just go? Like, just go to frickin' Florida, and this movie would be over. So the reason why he doesn't is because he's tethered down with this loyalty. He still feels like it's dishonorable to leave. He doesn't really want to break Jem's heart. So a lot of objectives. Jem's objective is to lock Doug down in the next heist and pin him in place, whereas Doug's objective is to break the news to Jem that he's leaving, saving himself, and building a future with Claire. And then the counterpoints are, Jem's really should, if he loved him, let him go. And Doug is, I'm actually here because I feel shitty about what I'm about to do. And that's why he goes into the final heist at Fenway Park. And that's why the whole thing falls apart. Because really, the movie would be over if Doug was like, you know what, Claire, I love you. I'm an asshole. I'm going to go to recovery. I'm gonna go to the cops. I'm gonna do some time, and when I come out, I hope we get, we're married. But he goes into this whole last heist because of this loyalty he has to his town, the town. All right. Okay, so let's talk about the structure. And Jem loses, right? Jem's thing is to try to pin him in place, and by the end of it, he's been told off and told that Doug is leaving, and Doug is abandoning him and moving to Florida with this girl. So let's talk about, after that, the two major realizations, which I like to call the minor major realization and the major realization. I think that's in the videos. But the way I describe that is, what do we go? Jem loses the scene, negative arc. He has to let Doug leave and allow him his best chance at a new life. And Doug wins the scene, positive arc, because he's dropped the bomb that he's not doing this anymore. So the minor major realization is the end of Act 1. The major realization comes at the end of Act 2. That's kind of one way I define it. Another way to define the arc, the Act 1 to 2 and Act 2 to 3 is like the flipping of the conversations. There's a huge flip of conversation in this scene. So let's take a look at the scene. Jem says, there's a heist. Doug is like, no way. Doug keeps going, I'm out of here. I'm out of here. Jem keeps going, listen, loyalty, that it's okay to betray a friend. And it's, this whole first act is in a lot of ways Doug convincing himself that I have to go. And Jem keeps digging himself a grave because he's talking like an asshole. So finally he's like, I gotta go. In the second act, it's like, no way, man, I fucking died for you. And then he can't argue that. In the third act, Doug can't argue it. In the third act, Doug says, I can't give you back that time. I wish I could. He's not going, you're wrong, man. I don't owe you shit. He doesn't say, this is easy for me. I hate you and I don't love you. He's saying, look, I can't give you back that time. I'm grateful for everything you've done. Your family took me in when my father went away. You've been like a brother to me. But I'm leaving. Like, I gotta go. He's not saying Jem is wrong. He's saying there's no conversation. Like, I'm here to tell you that I'm leaving, and that's the scene. So really, this into now, based on all the material we did and all the work that we did, now we can make really specific and clear choices, as they say, or decisions on each line, or realizations. What are they doing? What exactly is happening? So we read through it, and we go, Jem is waiting for Doug, and Doug is showing up, and Doug right off the bat has a realization. The realization is, why aren't we doing this apartment? Jem's got something big. He's probably got a job. Why is he choosing this place? This place has an auspicious and dangerous kind of relationship for us. This is dangerous. Jem is up to something. So Doug is calling him right off the bat on like, what's going on? So the very first beat is Jem, let's walk through it on the screen. The very first beat is Jem waits for Doug by the ancient cemetery. That's Jem setting the objective. Jem is in the positive. The second moment of the scene is Doug approaches him irritated. So beat one is Jem in his power setting the objective. He's in control, and he's about to drop on Doug some kind of cement block around his neck to keep him here. He sees Doug coming and realizes, this is awesome. I'm going to get this done. Doug approaches and goes, oh no, I'm realizing that Jem is trying to throw a noose around my neck. I've got this, that we're coming to this place, this specific place. And then he goes, Doug's decision is to do what? It's to call him on his bullshit, or rub him down a little bit, or like, it's to throw something in his face. Something wrong with the apartment is, I know something's up, what the fuck's going on, call him on it. Like, so it's to throw Jem off his feet. Jem realizes, oh my gosh, I just got tossed off a little bit. Doug is irritated and he's trying to play something against me. So I'm gonna, without any further ado, I'm gonna throw the noose around his neck. I'm gonna drop the cement block at his feet, the florist. Boom, shut him down. Doug knows what the hell's going on. He knows, but then he plays stupid. The florist, what? He's like, I don't want to play this game. I'm halfway to Florida already. I'm not here to talk about a job. I'm not here to talk about loyalty. I'm not here to talk about our ties together. I'm just here to tell you that I'm leaving. That's where you start getting into the realizations and decisions of the scene. I'm verbing you, you're verbing me, I'm verbing you, you're verbing me, I'm verbing you, you're verbing me. And it all has to play in context of the overall scene. and where we are in the scene and the act, and that's based on the conversations, and that's based on the objectives and the relationships. You start going, okay, now we can start articulating the verbs, you know, and then you write them all down like we're doing now. We're kind of doing a little bit quicker because we're running out of time, but you're writing them all down. And then as you write, I will, by the way, I'll go analyze this whole scene and we'll put it up as an assignment on the campus, and you can compare your verbs and your realizations and decisions with mine, the actions that I'm writing down. But they may be different words, but one hopes that they're synonymous, that we're inside of it. And then you get really close to the moments, and then once you get super close to the moments and you just go, okay, I get what the scene's about. Then when you start doing your rehearsal, it starts to clarify. And that's when you go, oh, it's not that, it's this, or, oh, I just discovered something, or right. And then there's all this, and even in front of the camera, you're like, that's when you're discovering all these great moments, you know, in the scene. And that's because you've done your work to try to articulate what it is in the first place. If you're just kind of wishfully thinking, hoping, you're never going to be in the moment. But I can keep refining and working on these realizations and decisions as I go. Yeah? Okay, I will, I am...
Something wrong with the apartment? No. Florist. Florist what? Came through. Oh, Jesus Christ. Lodge, Dougie. We're smoked. Hunters. Look, pick up an extra guy. All right? Or go with 3 guys. Fucking be smart and boot it. So you're not going? No. Why is that? Because we got a ton of fucking heat on us, for one thing. We put a move on him, right? We've done it 100 times before. You know what? Forget it. Do what you want to do. I'm done. What? I'm done. You're done? What does it sound like? I don't know. What's that mean?